Okay, it's live. So, hello Rahaf, how are you?
Hello, good evening. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So great to have you here to talk to us about the educational and social issues in our society. Would you like to introduce yourself first?
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Rahaf Al Saif, and I'm a youth ambassador for the UN IGOM SAM. To start with, maybe some people be saying, what do you know about educational system and stuff like that? For those who don't know,
Hmm.
I have been an educational officer for an international NGO. It's called IFA, which is International Fund for Animal Welfare, for over 4 years. And I have a 1 year actually experience. I have been a homeroom teacher
Hmm.
for third graders. So
Oh,
I have been in the educational sector for a while,
hmm.
targeting kids from age 4 to 16. So yeah, that has been my mission for the past since 2014,
Hmm.
and I believe that no one better than the youth and the younger generation to understand the issues and what's going on in the educational world as
Hmm.
we are right now. We do know. So in such a competitive world, education is a very significant tool for every person in order to succeed in life. Education is a must for both women and men equally, as both together make an educated and healthy society. It gives many purposes as they develop and progress both on personal and social status and health. Like, it's
Hmm.
believed that education definitely is one of the leading roles that helps societies, even when it comes to health. You can see right now in COVID cases, there are higher cases in the low income and developing countries because of education, and
Hmm.
people lack awareness. Education is something that is valued all around the world. My mother has been telling me since I was a kid, your certificate is your weapon. So issues surrounding educations are constantly shifting to accommodate societal changes. What children learn in schools largely determines the person they will be later in life. If a child is pushed to be the best that they can be in school, then they will be the best they can be in their careers. If they are constantly bullied and unheard, those negative attitudes can really reflect onto others in their future. The importance of children receiving a good education is one of is actually one of the best things that we can actually
Hmm.
give
Can happen to
the
someone.
younger generation.
Hmm. You're right.
Yeah. So, the importance of children receiving a good education is more important now than ever before. New problems arise every day, and each new generation will be in charge of solving those problems. One can't solve the problems until they are taught to do correctly.
Hmm.
So, you know, I feel like the best, and not the best, I mean, one of the main educational and social issues in the world, it's racism. Racism is a social issue that is present in every aspect of society, from business atmospheres to schools to playgrounds, everywhere around the world. That is the problem that has worked its techniques into classrooms, and it's proved by biased peers full of prejudice notes towards classmates of minority backgrounds.
Hmm.
However, teachers can ban language conflicts in school, but racism might continue to survive if parents cannot also assist,
Hmm.
to to accurate the preconception behaviors of their children at home. If students are learning the racist views and comments from their teachers,
Mm.
parents will not be capable to independently assist in solving this problem. From my own experience in one of the conferences I have attended a few years back for Harvard University, and we're talking about Harvard University,
Yeah,
I have received a note that said "Death to the Middle East." And being a Middle Eastern girl in a
yeah.
conflict in a conference by myself, that truly really affected me. I couldn't be as productive as I was
Mm-hmm.
prior to receiving that note. I didn't know what to do, so I automatically forwarded the note to the dais, who
Mm-hmm.
I watched as they got the note. They started
Yeah.
laughing and passing the note to each other, and they were laughing about it. It really scared me, and I had no idea how to deal with that situation. So racial profiling in
Mhm.
schools and university is a bigger problem than many of us choose to acknowledge.
Yeah, you're
um,
right.
yeah, in the United States, Black children are receiving harsher punishments from teachers and are nearly 4 times more likely to be suspended than their white peers. That we're talking about racial profiling
I
in
just to
preschool.
see all these issues in the 21st century is just it's just so sad. I mean, look at
For
where we
sure.
are.
For sure. And the example that I was talking about, I'm talking about preschool, racial
Yeah.
profiling in preschool. If our kids are going through these situations at this moment, what kind of world are we at? I
Yeah.
don't understand. In a Yale study, teachers were shown videos of a well-behaved preschoolers playing in a classroom, and when they were asked to find the problematic child, their eyes immediately focused on one of the Black boys in the room. All kids were behaving well, yet the Black child received the most criticism and raised the most suspicion. you know and we're talking about studies.
Hmm.
So so whether this was intentional or not, um, something must be done about it. Teachers who saw themselves as loving and fair were criminalizing 4-year-olds based on
Hmm.
the color of their skin.
Hmm.
And as a result, these children might actually end up falling behind and acting out, because this is the future they are pushed towards.
I do
This is
believe
where
that
everyone
racism
this is
is
where
something
everyone sees
that
them to
starts
be.
at a very low age, and it sets its roots at a very low age, and then it grows in you. So I
Hmm.
think education is a platform where things can change. In
For
schools and
sure.
teachers, if they try, they can change it. They can end it. They can, completely, change the perspective of the students. As you told that they were so young, where the boy was pointed out, it could have
Mhm.
been different. It could have been done differently.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And aside from racism, also bullying shows is a
Mm.
major problem and issue in schools all across the globe. I have been bullied when I was in high school, so I think this is like, I don't know, this has become like a normal stage of life where it really shouldn't be, you know? It
Mm.
saddens me to see people saying, yeah, this is normal, it's part of your high school experience, etc., etc. But it shouldn't be. Why are we normalizing such a
Mm.
hideous act, bullied students experience really a range of emotional, physical, and behavioral problems. They are often, they feel angry and anxious and lonely and helpless. People push them to become those lonely and helpless people. They're frequently scared to go to school, even leading them
Mm.
to suffer academically and develop a low self-esteem and low self-worth. They are also at a greater risk of engaging in violent acts and even suicidal behavior,
Mhm.
because of some really negative behavior that is happening in school. Um, so this is the message for everyone. If you are one being bullied, don't submit yourself to the person doing the
Hmm.
bullying. Speak to someone you trust. Look for options on how to confront this issue appropriately. The worst thing to do is let it bottle up inside of you while it continues to happen.
Because
If you come,
it's always going to spread from this one person to another, and it's always going to
yeah.
go in such a negative way.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And the more you bottle it up, the harder it comes to, the harder it will be to overcome this. Um, so if you come from a diverse ethnicity, even if you come from a different ethnicity, do not feel ashamed of your culture or hide it because of the bully. Everyone has to embrace their uniqueness. As
Hmm.
I said, someone has mentioned something about me being a Middle Eastern girl.
Hmm.
Instead of uh, rolling in a corner, I actually stayed and I kept fighting for the cause. I kept speaking up because in the end of the day, they will win if you let them win.
Hmm.
So the first step in preventing bullying is to foster a safe environment for kids to learn and for kids to even speak up.
Hmm.
If you stop the children from talking about anything, any specific or any subject, it becomes harder for them to express their feelings or
Hmm.
actually talk about it.
Hmm.
So we have to
Hmm.
normalize
We have to
um,
promote a culture where they can speak up for themselves.
exactly, have that safe environment for everyone to talk about
Hmm.
whatever they want to talk about. So
So,
this.
Rahaf, we have a question. It's from
Mhm.
Irtuza Hassan. Rahaf, what is your take on systematic racism?
What's my take on racism? See, the thing is, there is nothing that we could do about it. Even
Hmm.
the most powerful countries in the world, they are facing
Yeah.
racism. There is nothing that we could do. But what
Hmm.
I always advise is that do the change within. When each one of us takes control and when each one of us becomes nicer and kind to each other, I
Hmm.
think at some point the environment becomes better for everyone.
Hmm.
We take small steps in order to do bigger change. We cannot wait for other people to make it a better environment for us. We
Hmm.
have to take
Start ourselves.
control and start the change from us. People around the world that don't understand that if they mess up, they actually ruin. It becomes a stereotype. For example, like Muslims around the world, some people take bad decisions and do terrible stuff abroad, and they don't realize how it falls badly on the rest of the Muslim
Hmm.
community as well as Arab community.
Hmm.
It's not easy for anybody. We are talking about communities. We are talking about ethnicity. We're talking about huge populations. So my advice is that if you want to be the change, if you want to make a change, be the change.
Hmm. Right. So, Rahaf, there is another question with us, which is what steps do you suggest to put a stop to these problems and promote a healthy environment in our educational institutions? Plus, what role should be adopted by teachers in such a situation? I think they want to know what specifically teachers could do because
Mhm.
children outside of their homes, whatever they learn in their homes is a different thing, but in the world outside, at a very early age. Their supervisors are teachers, I guess,
Yeah.
even in Pakistan and even I think all around the globe, they learn. Everybody learns a lot from their teachers. So, what do you think? What roles do teachers play in this promoting a healthy environment in our educational institutions?
So,
So,
as I was
as I was
saying,
saying,
it definitely the change could only happen from your point of view. If you want to make a better environment, you should do small steps within. So
hmm,
basically, allowing the kid to have a safe environment, as I mentioned. In
hmm,
my classroom when I was a teacher, um, I was very open with my students. Instead of having that very strict, harsh relationship, we had a very light relationship. We used to like put some music on. We had that very friendly relationship, because whenever the students feel comfortable talking to their teacher, the better it is for the teacher. A lot of teachers really had trouble with my classroom in precisely.
Hmm.
And every time they were like, Miss Rahaf, grade 3C are like the worst of the grade threes. And how do you deal with them? And the thing is, I used to look at them and say, like, are you really talking about my students? I
Hmm.
didn't have that issue with them, because our classroom was full of interactive sessions. The more that you draw the students into your classroom, it's actually easier than it is. I could
Hmm.
simply be like, okay, we're gonna watch a cartoon, but finish your activities first. These sorts of friendly environment can
Hmm.
actually be the change, and be that if and fosters a safe and healthy environment for the kids to not
Hmm.
only learn, but to feel loved, to feel safe. And students should also feel safe communicating the behaviors they're experimenting and experiencing,
Hmm.
allowing for a voice to be heard, that will hopefully stop, you know, uh, bullying or any occurrences
So,
within the
Raj, there
classroom.
is another major issue which I believe exists in our educational institutions, which is gender discrimination.
Mhm.
And we also have a question here, which is, Rahaf, are you taking any measures to promote women empowerment among educational institutions in a positive way to overcome their shyness of female students and to discuss their issues openly with their teachers or fellows?
Okay, so we
Mhm.
are here at the what can I say, the big elephant in the room. It's always there,
Mhm.
and it's one of the main issues that I always feel like I should be talking about, because I had to go through a lot of pushback, because I was a female in so
Mhm.
many in so many ways. So the thing is that I always say is that, um, you know each woman has to stand up for herself. And
Mhm.
nowadays we are so lucky, because there were so many women that came before us, that made it possible for us right now to be able to get some education, to be able to travel safely some places, to be able to do some activities
Mhm.
outdoors. So there are so many women that we have to be thankful for, that already made it easier for us. But that doesn't mean that we have to stop here. That means that this is only the beginning, that we have to keep on fighting for what they started. um, I'm so thankful to be living in the United Arab Emirates, because here we do not have a lot of um, gender inequality. But
Mhm.
you know in in uh, in social problems and education, there is a degree of
Mhm.
different treatment delivered based on gender. In certain parts of society,
Mhm.
girls are even delivered fewer opportunities for studying, for working, in comparison to boys. So
Yeah.
expectations from girls to achieve high in studies or anything, is further less than any other man around. It's so
Mhm.
sad that we're talking about the 21st century,
Mhm.
but at the same time, this is a fight that will never end. And we should keep fighting for it, because we're only we're not only fighting for ourselves, but we're fighting for the generations to come, so our
Mhm.
future kids will have a better
And
environment
for the
that we
women all
had.
around the globe who can't speak up for themselves, who don't have such platforms such as WHO or even Tutify. We here at Tutify, we promote every single wellness that we can for women and to have and to stop this gender discrimination, having equal members and these little steps, I think they build up a community, they build up a vibe and energy around you, which really helps to promote us to stop this culture and to promote a better society.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I always say that, we have, and especially as women, we have the chance to actually make a difference because
Mm,
we are the future mothers. We will
mm,
have children and kids um, sometime soon in the future. And, if I am a mother, I should not only teach my girls to, behave in a certain way or something like that, but I also should emphasize that good behavior to also my boys,
mm,
my kids. So we actually have the power to make a change within ourselves, within our families,
mm,
because we're not only the mothers, we're also the cooks, the doctors, the teachers within the family. So if we teach our children the right way and our boys how to treat women, trust me,
mm.
we will not be having so many issues when it comes to female empowerment or all these harassment issues that we're hearing about nowadays on all these rapes. Because if women take control of what's going on inside their houses, trust me, there will be a huge a difference in the upcoming years.
Generation. Yeah. So, Rahab, there is another question. It's a really interesting one. How should we cope up with depression, which is or the phase of anxiety that students face due to their education and due to peer pressure and parental pressure and the pressure of the society in general that we have. And I think it's a very widespread thing nowadays, depression and suicide because of it. So what do you think about that?
Hmm.
How
When it
can
comes
students cope up
to,
with it?
sorry,
How can students cope up with it?
yeah. See, the thing is, we don't cope with it. We have to find what makes us anxious.
Mm,
I've always been very well spoken and outspoken about this because I myself go through anxiety. I have a huge anxiety issue, especially after quarantine and COVID-19.
mhm,
Um, in February, back in February, I did my so far my biggest speech, which was in front of almost 2,000 people, live audience,
mhm,
and it went perfectly. And then a month later, I'm stuck at home doing nothing. And when I actually, they started opening up stuff and stuff like that, and I was really going through a lot of anxiety to meet people, to see people. I couldn't even go to the mall. So mental health challenges, it's among students and it's a growing concern for everybody. There was even a survey by the American College of Health Association in spring of 2018, which found that almost two-thirds of college students were said that they had an experience of overwhelming anxiety within the past 12 months.
mhm,
Almost 60% reported that they were having, an more than average stress level.
mhm,
So it's not something. So we have to be very outspoken about this because you're not the only one who's going through these things. The
mhm,
moment you realize, yeah, I have a problem, only then you will start having, being on the right path into solving this issue, you know um, so among students seeking treatment, anxiety and depression were far most common
mhm,
complaints. So if you go online, there is a lot of resources that can help. I myself found a lot of resources online that really helped me go
mhm,
through this, especially meditation, uh, going through self-worthiness, self consciousness, you know, and step by step. The thing is, we don't bury ourselves within.
mhm.
If we just sit home and say, okay, this someday this cloud was gonna go, and
Mhm. It's gonna
after
pass
the
by.
rain there's gonna be a rainbow. No,
Mhm,
nothing is gonna self solve itself. You know what I mean? So You have to fight for your mental health. You have to fight for yourself, because you
Mm,
are worth it, and everyone is worth it. So if you give up on yourself, um, all you have is yourself and your friends and your family. And if you don't
yeah.
have that support system, there is a support system online. Trust me, there is a lot of people going through the same thing that you are going through.
Mm.
So you're not alone.
But Rahaf, don't you think that people are very shy to talk about it? I mean, again, living in the 21st century, people feel that it would, presume them as very weak if they talk about depression or anxiety or their own personal problems. So, how do you think that we could sow? Like, there's a question: how are we going to sow the seeds of allowing our community to get outspoken on this issue?
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah.
So the
How could?
thing is,
Hmm.
unfortunately, me myself living in the Middle East, I tried to talk to my mom about it, and
Hmm.
it didn't go so well. So if the thing is about our communities right now is that we cannot really change it, because it's full of old stubborn people that really do not want to understand us and understand the burden that lies on our shoulders. So if you do not find support within your community, come on, it's, as you said, it's the 21st century. We have a huge online platform, and trust me, you will find millions and billions of people going through the same thing. And I had this issue of not being able to um, tell my friends and family, but I found a lot of online resources that really helped me through my anxiety,
Hmm.
uh, and that was very helpful. If you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. Just go through online, go through some other
I still
people's
have.
stories, and it will be very helpful. Even if you don't talk about it and you just read other people's stories, you can always write, get creative, paint, whatever, your soul feels like can have an outlet.
Hmm. Okay, so what's your take on digital education since it's COVID and things have changed and everything is all of a sudden everything is online. We're having a webinar here. So this year has been a very changing year in all aspects and a lot of aspects actually. So what's your take on digital education?
Mhm. Of course, technology in education is a very powerful movement. It's sweeping through schools and universities nationwide. And we're not just talking about adults, we're also talking about preschoolers and young kids who are also studying online. Today, students have grown up with the digital technology, and we should expect it to be a huge part of our learning experience. But how much of a role it should play in our education, I think we
Hmm.
should just accept it right now, because I think this is the only a healthy solution that we have at this moment,
Hmm.
until this COVID-19, this pandemic, clears up,
Hmm.
because it's a very tough times for everybody. So we should actually be thankful for technology and education, because without it, I think it will take us years back. It will set us years back. So proponents point out, education technology offers the potential to engage students in more active learning, as evidence in distance learning. It can facilitate group collaborations and provide instant access, to resources. As you just said, right now we're having webinars, we're having conferences, and
Hmm.
aside from that, we can study online at this minute.
Hmm.
And teachers and instructors can integrate online surveys, exams,
Yeah.
interactive studies, also
Hmm.
relevant videos. I think we should be thankful for that, and take it in as much as we can. Indeed, students with special needs, frequently rely on assistive technology to communicate and access course material. And we should be able to take use of these materials and these technology. But there are downsides, as well. For instance, technology can be a distraction. Some students tune out of lessons and spend time, I don't know, checking social media or playing games, or even go back to sleep.
Hmm.
But one research study revealed that students who multitasked on laptops during a class scored less than 10% than all their other peers in a test. So
Hmm.
even a University of Michigan professor said that such research was the reason why that um, some schools ban electronics in classrooms in normal situation. But
Hmm.
more disturbingly, technology can be a real threat to students' privacy and security. And the collection of sensitive student data by education technology companies can lead to serious problems. I don't need to mention that awkward situation with President Macaroon. But yeah, that could be really dangerous. But at the same
Hmm.
time, we should take the positive out of it, and try to make it a better situation, especially
Hmm.
because at this minute we don't have a choice other than distance learning.
Okay, so Rahaf, as you know that as you know already about Tutify, which is a venture of Wall of Hope, and it's a virtual learning platform. We have started our online tuitions, giving basically it was the need of the hour, and we have managed to create a very good team. So when you got to know about Tutify, what were your thoughts about it? Let us know.
For sure, I was very excited because, at these times, there are a lot of students that are looking for tutors, for
For
extra
extra.
for extra help, for more materials, for assistance. And I feel like Tutorify and their online tutoring uh, services is very helpful, because some students cannot keep up to date. Some students, especially the ones with ADHD, and the ones who cannot really focus on their computers, really need people to help them carry on their studies. And I feel like Tutify is really a really good initiative to help students carry on with that. Um, so yeah, I was very happy to learn about it.
Hmm. Also, there was this, we were getting more and more applicants, and they were, the reach, it has started to go out of borders. We had tutors coming in from like all around the globe. There were two Iranian girls who wanted to join, and it made me so happy because I was like, this is such a good thing. We're giving opportunities. So one of like the friends who suggested her friend to join Tutify, she told me that she's not that much of an experienced girl, and I told her that no, here at Tutify we are giving opportunities to people. You don't have to be so much experienced to join Tutify, because this is what we want to give people the opportunity to get their experiences and make the most out of it and help yourself and help others. So do you have any suggestions for us here at Tutify? Maybe we could improve, or maybe it's something that you would want to see in a platform like Tutify.
Since it's a new kind of, let's say, it's a new wave. So I think you guys did a really good job, to keep up with the with what's happening at this minute, and it's a very good platform. My only note would be just keep on going, and I really wish you the best, because what you're doing is amazing. To give a platform for people to learn, and to even give their experience and give their voice. It's
Opportunity.
a very, yeah, for sure. It's a very positive way, because you know some teachers, we have this perceptions of teachers and tutors. Over the past decades, there has been I don't know, an effort to make teachers look really bad, because they could not do anything else.
Hmm.
But whether it be in a political rhetoric or through media or television programs, our dialogue has not been kind, and it has led to a negative perceptions of teachers.
Hmm.
So it's not has only been harmful to schools and climates, but it has turned some teachers into passive participants in their own professions. Teachers are educated, hardworking professionals who are trying to help meet the academic and social and emotional needs of their students, which is not always that easy. I've been there. I was a teacher for a while, and
Hmm.
it's a very consuming profession, because you never think about yourself. It's always someone else. It's always
Hmm.
a certain student. At some point in my classrooms, I had a hairbrush in my drawer. In the morning, I really had to brush some of my students' hairs because both their parents were working parents, and some students actually been sent to school by their maids.
Hmm.
And there's always that gap, and people really should be very thankful for all the tutors and all the teachers around the world, because they're really doing their best. And hats off for you guys as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rahaf. It was such a pleasure and it was such a good session knowing you and talking to you about all these issues. It was so productive. Thank you so much for joining us here, our session.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
It's
It's
always
always
interesting to
interesting.
reflect on the educational system,
Hmm.
and begin compiling a list of, critical issues and things we want to change. Sometimes it's daunting to look at and daunting to read about, but
Hmm.
begin to see where we fit into all of this. I have always believed that education is about taking on some of this crucial issues and turning them around to make them better. Students must be the ones fighting for their rights, and anyone who gets into teaching needs to believe that they can improve educational experience for their students. And there are just a few places to start from your classroom.
Hmm.
Let
Hmm.
2021 be a year where we focus on our perception of students and address those biases, and that might lead our educational system and leading strategies. So let's hope we can make a better world and a better future for our kids. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me.
Thank you.